It's coming. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Swirl podcast. My name is Jake Howard.
What's up, everybody? I am DJ Swirl.
And before we get in this monumental blockbuster evening, let me give a shout out to Royalty Nutrition. And to help me out with that, as always, here he is, Warhorse.
Hey, it's Warhorse. Do you want your workouts to look like this? Or do you want your workouts to slay?
No echo.
When Warhorse picks his pre-workout, he wants it
Echo
to
on your
slay. If you want second
So echoey.
place, go with somebody else. If you want to be a champion, go with Royalty Nutrition. Woo!
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Royalty Nutrition. Go check them out at royaltynutrition.com. They are a veteran-owned and operated supplement company that doesn't automatically use the cheapest ingredients while making the supplements to help you along your way to your fitness goals. Use the discount code 37HAKE to save you 15% on your entire order. My next shout out of the evening will be to Gorilla Gains. That's gorilla-gains with the Z.com. They are a fitness apparel company that you can wear comfortably in and out of the gym. And they make great equipment that helps keep you safe while you train. Check them out. Use the discount code JAKE15 to save you 50% on that order as well. They just dropped a whole bunch of new hats, so your boys are about to get one. You should get one too. Check me out on Patreon. It's patreon.com/HakeJoward. That's where I post workouts that I've written for people for over the years. And I also do a solo show. And it helps me support this life of luxury that I live. So please check that out. And a shout out for the Love of Fit. You can find us on Spotify and all other platforms where podcasts can be found. It's where two personal trainers sit down and dissect certain aspects of the fitness industry and have an in-depth discussion about it. DJ Swirl, tell them about the Buy-to-Buy Empire.
Chocolate and vanilla swirl.
Didn't have this pulled up earlier.
Swirl.
That was my bad. Anyway, this is Buy-to-Buy at BUYTOBYE. That means if you are shopping in store or online and you find you don't have the time, towing, or the muscle to get what you just purchased home or to where it's going to be, let us know and we will come and handle that for you from the time you buy until the time we say goodbye. That is for on-demand delivery, moving, staging, TV mounting, and assembly. That is the practical side of the business. This content creation side of the business, this is Buy-to-Buy Studios. So if you have creative consulting needs, remote content creation needs, or post-production, look no further. So if you've got an idea, haven't put pen to paper, but you know something feels good and you want to try and work it out, we'll help you do that. If you're an influencer, gamer, podcaster, musician, DJ, comedian, and you need to elevate your offering, hit us up. We can do that as well we do that remotely. So from your own friendly confines, you feel comfortable being who you are, who you need to be, and only who you want to be. We take care of the rest. And of course, post-production. If you've got something you've already done and you just need to put a little extra pizzazz on it, we supply pizzazz here. So Buy-to-Buy Studios everywhere you are. Jake, what are we talking about tonight?
It just needs a little bit more zazz. Sorry, that's there was an old show on Adult Swim on Cartoon Network back in the day called Metalocalypse.
Wow.
And
Reaching back.
It was about this metal band that was like the greatest band to ever exist. And there was a whole episode where the guys in the band were like, it could use some more zazz. So I don't know, it's just missing some zazz. So tonight we are talking about our in-theater experiences that we've had this over the past week. I will be talking about the movie Cocaine Bear, and you will be diving into the depths of Creed 3.
Yes.
I think you got those flipped. I think you got them flipped.
I got them flipped? How did I get them flipped?
Yeah. I mean, we should have fucking R2D2 Scream for Cocaine Bear,
Oh, got you. Okay.
and wooed for Creed 3. Um, so Britt and I had a date day where her cousin graciously took the littles, and we got to spend just like time away from the house,
Yeah.
just us. And I mean, it was a matinee show. But of course, we had to respect her cousin that was watching the kids, so we couldn't go see a 4-hour movie. And so I was like, the original story of Cocaine Bear is pretty funny. Let's go see what Hollywood has done to it.
Yeah.
And she said, okay. For those of you who don't know, Cocaine Bear was a real thing. During the 80s when cocaine was being trafficked from South America up to the States. There was just different drop zones and sites and things like that along the way. And this bear got into a bag of this coke and just got real high and like walked around until it died. I mean, so that in of itself is because I think at the park they actually have the stuffed bear
Okay.
that like ingested this shitload of coke. So
it's a tourist attraction.
Yes,
Okay.
because why wouldn't you want you go get your picture taken next to the bear that ate like a kilo of blow and had a heart attack? You know what I mean? And so I think this was Ray Liotta's last movie.
Okay.
It had Ice Cube Jr. in it.
O'Shea Jackson Jr.
O'Shea Jackson Jr. I said what I said. It was goofy. It was like a goofy 80s monster movie.
Okay.
Where like yes, there was a plot, but no, there wasn't. Yes, you got introduced to the characters and their backstories, but they didn't matter, but they did.
Okay.
And like, so I posted my review on Twitter, and it was
"'Twas a movie."
it was a movie, and my large blue raz icy was on point. Like I'm not saying that it was the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's also it was like oh, we paid money to see this.
Yes. Yes. Was it worth getting away from the kids?
It was slightly less noisy, yeah.
Okay. But you went in knowing it was supposed to be.
I went in knowing it was going to be
non-serious,
goofy. Like,
yeah.
Well, and I went in thinking it was going to be like a slasher comedy.
Okay.
And I think one time it got a huh out of me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's really not hard to make me laugh. It's not. It's really not. Like, I'm one of those dudes that could sit and watch The Big Bang Theory. You know what I mean? Like,
hey,
and
I watched the hell out of Big Bang. But
it gets a lot of flack for not being actually funny. You know what I mean? So like,
it's entertaining.
So right, but so I'm sitting here, and of course, there's like children involved, and the little boy in the movie, he, this is obviously in the South, but he swears.
Okay.
He cusses a lot. That's a little kids in there, cute cussing, and there's this thing where the kids walk upon a brick of coke entering the woods. One second.
Water break.
Sorry, I'm getting over a throat funk. But the kids walk in and they they get in an argument about how the boys like, yeah, I've done coke before. I've done it with some other kid after church. You know,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. You know, just like little boy dick measure and stuff for no reason. So I'm like, okay, I can relate to that. I guess when we were little boys, we said some nonsense to
Oh, sure.
impress the girl that you were into or whatever.
Yeah.
And she goes, okay, we'll do some then. And he was like, we're about to go on a hike. I'm not going to do cocaine before I go on a hike.
How old is this guy?
She goes, fuck. They're like 12, 10.
Oh, Jesus.
10, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like, fine, give me the knife. So he hands her a pocket knife and she cuts open the bag and she goes, how much do I do? And he goes, I don't know, like a teaspoon. So drug brain, I'm going, quite a much for your first go. And she asks, well, how do I do it? He goes, oh, you just like eat it. So she has a big clump on this knife, and so immediately I'm like, all right, we got the fucking runny sinuses, mouth's gonna go numb. But she spits it out and like, that's horrible. And of course, no discussion of what's going on.
Sure.
Because like, so when you in traditions of cocaine use, you do your line,
Okay.
and then you take what's left and you rub it on your gums because you don't waste anything. It's
Sure.
expensive. And the reason why you do the gummer is it numbs your mouth. And
So basically,
she's
you're
like-
saying the 12-year-old's technique was flawed.
they didn't teach the kids how to act it, which I guess
Okay.
I can respect. You know, but then the little boy does it, and then like it seemed like 5 minutes later he's like, oh, my throat, something's in my throat. Yeah, buddy. And then like the bear showed up, and then it was a goofy movie. It was a really goofy movie.
Yeah. When I saw that one of the characters I recognize that I follow on social media, and he when I saw that he was in it, I thought, oh, okay, he dies. One, and two, that gave me an impression of what type of movie it was going to be. And then I saw, what's her name? Elizabeth Banks. As she directed it. And I like her in general, but I don't Redbox movies anymore. I know it's still a thing. I still see them, but and I used to do it a lot, but I guess convenience is king now, and I don't. But like, I don't think I can make myself go see that in the theater.
I think it was one of those things. If I was if I had like smoked or something before I went, I would have enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
But like stone cold sober, trying to, unwind.
Yeah, you can't unwind a cocaine.
Well, it's not even that. It was like, okay, so
like you guys should have
multiple
gone and got your feet done.
We should have went and just got pedicures. But there was like multiple protagonists in the movie that were necessary to move the plot along, but unnecessary.
It likes you're reminding me of someone having to explain a joke. Like it loses all of the funny.
And I wish that I could say more. Like, because I'm this is not the movie for me. Just it's not. It's absolutely not. like I knew they were gonna Hollywood it up. Let's just put it that way. And I don't know. I guess I was just expecting a better story. I guess.
Because how familiar are you with the story beforehand?
I've read it a few times.
Okay.
Because it makes me giggle. It legitimately makes me chuckle.
Mm.
Because the idea of just this bear that was just like, "What's this?" and then ate it and was like, "Ah!" and then keeled over and died is hilarious to me.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who's done a fair amount of Colombian Bam Bam himself, that's hysterical. That's great. And yeah, man, I was just expecting, like, if they would have made it like full blown silly with like less gore, I think I could have got behind it. Like, I get it, it's like a slasher comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if that genre exists for real or like who's into it, but that's what it was. It was a slasher comedy. And I mean, it's a bear, so obviously you're gonna have like bear wounds that are ridiculous, and but it just seems like everyone in this movie was selfish. Like every character in this movie was selfish for one reason or another.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what everyone in that movie was selfish. So there was like, I guess I didn't even really care to see the redemption in the end for some of the people.
Yeah.
And then like the comeuppance was like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, another asshole died. Whatever.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, you weren't rooting for anybody.
No, because they were all assholes.
Yeah.
Everyone in the movie was an asshole. Except for maybe like the mom of the little girl. But she was bland. And it was, I'm gonna go get my daughter from the woods. I'm gonna save her. And you're like, okay, I'm a nurse.
Cool.
So I mean,
but you had a blue icy.
I had a great blue icy, and I got the extra large popcorn.
Oof.
With extra butter with like 5 X's, because if I'm gonna be blowing my wad on some popped corn, I'm gonna have a heart attack. Let's do it.
Because fuck this BMI.
Hey man, treat yourself.
Oh, that's great. So I went and saw Creed 3. I also had an extra large popcorn but a small, or not an extra large, just had a large popcorn, small blue icy. Pretty standard. Matinee as well. And I did a job down in your neck of the woods, and you had the funk last week, so I did, instead of stopping by and hanging out with the fam for a little bit, I was headed home, and I was like, well, let's see if there's a theater nearby. I was going to pass it, so let's look at show times. 30 minutes later, all right, let's go grab a bite and then go watch this movie. So I've seen the first 2 Creeds. My father's DJ name is Apollo, and that's because he looks like Carl Weathers back in the day. And so, like, very familiar with Apollo Creed and all of the Rocky movies and all that. And I saw this this statement, I guess, from a post where they were just saying, it was Charlemagne the God, and he goes, the Creed, he said, the character Creed, whether that be Apollo or his son, he said, carries the franchise. It's like, when Creed was in the movies early on, they were dope. As soon as he wasn't, fell off. They brought it back, revived it with Creed. Even Sly was in the one and revamped the series. And now it is what it is. So it's like, it's one of those things where you know, in a world where you have 10 Fast and the Furious movies, plus whatever little sub Hobbs and Shaw or whatever the extra things they did, like, understanding how redundant all that stuff gets. Like to see something get extended to a sequel or, 3 movies, it's like you kind of have an expectation that it's going to fall off or it's not going to be as good. But they had Jonathan Majors play the antagonist in this movie. And Jonathan Majors is all over the place right now. And he's on like big name stuff. He was just Kong in Ant-Man, the latest Ant-Man release. So he was the villain in that as well. I think Devotion is the name of the naval movie where they talk about, I think it was the Korean War, a true story. He played the lead character in that as well. Solid actor. And he is shredded. So, like, to see Michael B. Jordan look like Michael B. Jordan does, and then to see his opponent look bigger and meaner than he is, it was like, all right, I think this is going to be interesting. And so, in terms of representation, seeing 2 black leads, get that much face time in any kind of series movie, especially one that has the following that the Rocky series does, like, it's a big deal. The lead character's daughter is deaf, and his old lady or his wife, she has a hearing issue that causes her to not be able to perform, and because she's a songwriter, she's an artist, and so that her daughter wound up being deaf, and so there's a lot of sign language in the movie, and it's a great thing to see. It's interesting watching just anything now because I prefer to watch it with captions on, unless it's like sports or something I don't care about reading what the commentary is. I want to have that on because I look at it a lot when you watch videos online, reels and stories. Like you want to see text in there because it helps translate and convey that message. So I thought it was great to see that. The plot was good. The writing was decent. I mean, it's pretty predictable because of the kind of movie it is, but they acted their asses off, and the training montage where Creed, hits his low and then finds his the spark that puts him back on the path to be willing and able to fight for the final scene. You've seen, the music for Rocky is iconic, and you have all of these. You're expect again. It's a template. You're expecting this to come. I have to look up who the composer was for, I guess, the movie, but this scene in particular, man, because the horn section that they use, this orchestra, and I saw it in the biggest theater. They have like the main one that's in a bigger screen, louder or whatever. It was in that one, but whatever this arrangement was, it tore right through me, man. It hit me in my chest. I started crying. I was like, I got hyped. Like I was like hyped for what it was. It conveyed perfectly into what they were trying to sell. And I drove home and I texted my dad and I was like, "Have you seen Creed 3?" Again, my father, who looks like Apollo Creed, he's like, "Absolutely, I already saw it." And I mentioned the horns, and just me messaging him that, it made my eyes well up thinking about that scene again. I was like, I would watch it again just to see what that part is. So once it inevitably gets released to DVD or to streaming, I'll probably watch it again. But like, yeah, man, it was really, really well done. But just seeing 2 black guys like that be strong, be powerful, but also be vulnerable and transparent, like it was a good look. It really was. So I highly recommend going to see Creed 3, whether that's in a theater or at your house. But
I know I got some catching up to do.
you haven't
So
watched any of them.
I haven't seen any of them.
You'll like it. I think you'll like the series. It's just well done. And the second one features Drago, his son.
Oh, sick.
And Drago's in it. So like, it's a good series, man. You should check it out. And I think HBO Max has it, or because it's released, they're showing the other ones. So you should be able to find both of them somewhere for free.
I'm a big Dolph Lundgren fan, so
Yeah.
Well, so you brought it up because you said Charlemagne the God said Creed carried the series.
Yeah.
And honestly, see, I'm still I'm trying.
Yeah, no.
I'm trying to. But yeah, thinking about it, because he died in Rocky Four in the beginning, and then Rocky Five was horrible.
Yeah.
Then Rocky Balboa could have been so much better than what it was.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
But people
It
still,
makes a lot of
but
sense.
people still talk fondly. You know, people who there are people who still love Rocky Five, right? Like,
Those people are incorrect. That movie was dog shit. That movie
uh,
was dog shit. And yes, it had what's Tommy Gunn's real name?
couldn't tell you.
No, but that guy had legitimate chance to be something real fucking special, but couldn't control his demons,
Mm.
and had a real bad drug problem, and then he ended up getting HIV and then AIDS and then dying.
Phew.
But that the guy who played Tommy Guns in that movie was a legitimately scary white boy, corn-fed heavyweight boxer back in the day,
Yep.
like legitimate threat to like anybody. But um,
Tommy Morrison.
yes, but he was the shit. But yeah, man, that whole movie was just so bad. The acting was not good. Like the Don King wannabe was over the top and just on the nose and obnoxious. The plot sucked. They got in a street fight at the end. Like, it was a horror. That movie sucked. That movie sucked so bad.
One thing that I did take note of in Creed, especially in Creed 3, is the cinematography. So the way that they show the hits. So like one part, I think in Creed 1, Michael B. Jordan gets hit legitimately. I remember seeing something on social media about how he was like, I want it to look real, so I'm gonna take a real punch, and then he takes his punch, and it's no fucking joke, and it's in the movie, and so, but the camera angle, they stick to his body, so when he gets blasted, it falls with him, and so it's
Mm-hmm.
it's very theatrical, very dramatic, and so in 3, there's a spot where he looks for, it's like checkmate. I think it's something to that effect, to where it's like he sees the opening and it slows it down and it shows you what he's looking at and how he gets to it, and then the hit, and it's really well done. It looks fantastic. But yeah, just there's little things in the movie that I think made it worth seeing. I don't know if there's a 4 coming, but I would see it.
Well, I mean, who is it going to be? It's not the. It won't be the Russians. He's going to have to fight like
They'll figure it out.
China's most up and coming boxer.
But so Cocaine Bear, you said it's not a very good movie. It's gotten 68% on Rotten Tomatoes, 54% on Metacritic. Um, but it cost them 35 million to make. And
That's
it's
the bear was CGI the whole time, so that's not
sure.
shocking.
Yeah. So it cost them 30 mil to make, with a cast of no A-list celebrities,
Pretty much, yeah.
and it's already made 68 million. So
No, hey,
pass the test.
I'm I'm not saying like
Oh, terrible movies
it's not
get seen all the time. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'm
not
not
for
trying to
me. It's
justify it.
not just not for me at all. And you're talking to a dude who loves to laugh and thinks blood is also hilarious. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I, I don't know. Just wasn't for me, man. But good on him. Um I'm glad that Elizabeth Banks has a win on her
Director,
check
yeah,
sheet,
exactly.
because she came after people pretty hard after no one went to go see fucking Charlie's Angels, her remake of Charlie's Angels.
Oh, I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah. Well, so Charlie's Angels was remade with a well, was remade with a like hard women are better than men at
Oh,
everything slant,
surprise.
and the actors in it weren't good,
Oh, okay.
and you know what I mean. And so it's like no one had any desire to even really give it a shot, and the ones that did were like, this isn't good. You know what I mean? So it tanked, and she was like, "This is just because men can't stand strong women. You're all sexist. You hate women directors." Everybody was like, "Here's the list of female directors and female lead characters in movies that we all love.
Yeah.
This movie just sucks." And she had a hard time just taking her L.
Oh,
Like,
really?
yeah. So I mean, I'm glad that she got a W in there in the column there for her. It
Well,
wasn't.
it says that the budget for that was 50 million? Yes, 50 million, and it grossed 75. So she still made money on that. I didn't even know that she did that. So,
Yeah, but like, I mean, most of that budget went to paying Kristen Stewart's no emotion having face
oh man, Kristen
to
Stewart's in that movie. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna see a movie because she's in it.
exactly.
Period. But
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that in there that drew.
yeah.
But like, you know, I don't know if you remember, but people got real burnt out with the Charlie's Angels movies
Oh, sure.
after the first Cameron Diaz,
Drew Barrymore,
Drew
Lucy Liu.
Barrymore and Lucy Liu,
Yep.
and the second one was like, eh. And
They
you're
just
also making a movie about a show that no one remembers.
and you're also the director was like that Mick G guy, right? Who did a
I
whole
don't
bunch
remember
of
him.
like music videos in the early 2000s, late 2000s, whatever that was. But it was very glossy. It was very high definition. Colors were very vivid. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, that stuff wore thin real quick. So,
Yeah,
I mean, good for her.
yeah. So I'm glad. There's not like a movie that I've seen Elizabeth Banks in that I've been like, I hate her guts.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
I watch her on Pressure Luck, and I'm like, she does a good job.
I watch her in Billy Madison.
Speaking of dating, people,
Yeah,
I mean, they're probably kids who don't know what Billy Madison is right now. Isn't that wild?
yeah, that's wild.
Or just who Adam Sandler is in general.
Speaking of, good God, I gotta trim this thing up. Looking like a shiftless hobo.
So Creed
Let,
3 cost 75 million to make, and it's already surpassed 100 million.
that's not shocking at all.
Yeah, set a
From what
record.
I've heard, from what I've heard, they've all been really good and well-made movies. I just haven't sat down to watch them.
Check them out.
My bad.
Speaking of
Bad.
checking stuff out, what is the movie that I text you about earlier this week,
Last week?
with the people you recognized?
Oh my God. Bigorexia.
Bigorexia, yes. So, is that something you have seen, or
I
do you
have
not?
not.
Okay,
I have not seen it yet.
okay,
But no, we were so last week before it was my turn, it was Brittany's turn to be sick. So
passing it
we've
around.
been trying to keep things as nice and calm as possible. Whatever freaking preschool funk we brought back in the house this last time was a doozy.
Yeah.
Like Marley has still has pink eye, but she had like double pink eye to the point where she couldn't open her eyes and shit. Christopher was getting all goopy eyed. And it's all upper respiratory infection stuff. Not the vid. All tested. No vid.
So bigorexia, just the term itself. Are you familiar with it? Like,
I am.
Okay.
I am. I am. And it's It's something that people who don't get their mentality in check, it'll kill them.
Because it's essentially the
Um,
opposite of anorexia,
yes,
which I'm
yes,
very familiar
and
with just because of my age and coming up. But like, I've known some people who have struggled with eating disorders and such. But like the idea of being in your best physical condition and then not being happy with it,
mhm.
like, and just having to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, like and the way that they spoke about it in the movie, whether that was an expert or someone who was personally, a bodybuilder, like they basically said that everybody who is a bodybuilder suffers from it. I was like, Jesus.
To an extent, yeah. Um, I think one of the more famous examples, I wouldn't even say it's bigorexia because he's sized down. He's not small by any means now, but there was a German bodybuilder by the name of Marcus Rule, and Marcus Rule was in the era of mass monster freaks. He was bigger than everybody.
Yeah.
Like Marcus Rule was scary big. Like I don't know if you've seen the picture of the bodybuilder that's sitting backstage, and he's just sitting in a chair like this with his head back down,
Mhm.
but he's resting his head on his fucking massive chest. And they were asking him, it was like, because he was training to get bigger and bigger, and they asked him, it was like, well, aren't you worried about your aren't you healthy? And he said, I don't do bodybuilding for health. I do it to be fucking huge. And he was.
Yeah.
Like still, I like every once in a while I'll go and I'll look him up on Instagram and stuff just to see what old Barkus Rule's up to, and he's not as big as he was for an older cat. He's still just, I would say, unnecessarily big.
Well, speaking of unnecessarily big, one of the people that was in it is Craig Elias, and
Yes.
you're familiar with that name. And just from what I saw on the in the movie, he basically understands that he has it, and he's like, so what?
Yeah.
And he's just trying to get as giant as he can, which
So, I haven't looked him up in years, but I remember because he's not a short man either.
no,
No, he's pretty damn massive. But he tried to compete too, but it's like he wasn't willing to do what it took to get into stage shredded kind of thing.
yeah,
So instead, he just stays being as big as he can be.
just massive.
They
I don't
also
know.
had Janaea Croc in there.
Yeah, so adding transgender into the mix
Yes.
just throws it for a whole nother loop.
So Janae Croc was is a veteran, set like a whole metric shitload of powerlifting records and stuff, and then was like, no, this is who I am. This is how I'm going to live my life, kind of thing, and doesn't have any qualms with still competing as a man, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not like so she did a bodybuilding show a couple years ago. She does male jujitsu competitions and wins. Fucking machine. Still power lifts. Still, and has 3 sons with his ex-wife, her ex-wife. It's just a freaking. I dig her. That's all.
No, I was unfamiliar until the show, until the movie, and I was left with a very positive impression of her as well. You know, to struggle with something to struggle with the form of body dysmorphia in general throws enough people for a loop. And then not feeling secure with your identity on top of that is just like in a male dominated landscape, in a landscape dominated by steroid use, dominated by, all these other things that are just ingrained in the culture. So there's ways for it to be problematic all over the place. But for it to just be your personal, like who you feel like you are, craziness. So just that strength that it takes to have to deal with that and to push through it. So, but it's difficult. It's difficult for me to see anybody who has a problem with her or anyone who identifies like she does to actually do something about it, because especially when they're as big as she is.
Dude.
Like, can you imagine that? Can you imagine being in a restaurant somewhere and you see her, make eye contact, and you just kind of acknowledge, and then someone starts shit with them, and you're just like, please fuck them up. Please. Please fuck them up.
Oh, and she walks into these jiu-jitsu tournaments and is like, I'm going to break this dude, and then does, and goes home. Like, it's wild.
Jeez. And so they also showed like, I don't know, it was an Indian gentleman who has like all of the injections.
Oh.
What's the name of that substance? I forgot. I wrote it down, I think.
So it definitely wasn't synthol. It's something else.
Yes. So not him, but there was another Russian cat who was on there who had these gigantic arms, and it was all synthol. And it was like he looked unhealthy.
Yeah, I think that kid, if I might be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure that young man ended up having to get like both arms amputated.
Based off of the movie's a few years old now, but based off of the movie, he had surgery, multiple surgeries to have it because of all the dead tissue inside of his arms. But I don't, as far as him getting amputated, it didn't get that far, but that might be the case.
Yeah, but I think the Indian guy is dead.
That again, this was a few years ago, so I don't know,
dude.
But that's how much does social media play into that? Because he could have done the same exact thing back in 2003, and no one would know who he is.
Well, so I don't remember if you remember Greg Valentino.
I don't think so.
So Greg Valentino, he was one of the first guys that had like the ridiculously juiced up and jacked up arms back in like the early 2000s. And they had to like double cuff him when they arrested him finally for his drug distribution he was a part of. But and he'll tell you, he genetically had huge arms, but he was doing just ridiculous shit just to do it. Because he'd been in and around bodybuilding since like the 70s, and he was like, why not? And if you look at pictures of him, he'll tell you that he hates it. And that was probably some of the dumbest stuff he ever did.
Yeah.
But he was just, his arms were always big, but they were just like massive. And he ended up having to do like at-home surgeries and stuff. And
juice never looks like it's worth the squeeze to me.
Steroids are dope. When used under the guidance of a medical professional doctor.
So another movie I saw on there that I have not seen yet deals with natural bodybuilding, and basically the tagline or the hook of it says, does natural even exist? And so I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to, because it falls in the same wheelhouse as this. And it has
the only way natural bodybuilding can truly exist is if you don't take any supplements, period.
So you're talking about all or nothing.
And all you're doing is your diet and training.
So there's no vegan, vegetarian level?
No.
Like one is
So
strict and the other
listen,
one is more strict?
the problem with vegan bodybuilders I have is a lot of these cats that are good. They have great physiques, or they're great power lifters, or they're great whatever. They are on steroids. And in order for your anabolics to really work, you must be taking testosterone. And all of your anabolics that aren't just testosterone are derivatives of testosterone. So everything is an animal product that you are injecting into yourself, making your entire philosophy bullshit.
Okay.
And that's not saying it can't be done. There's a lady, she used to be Nat Fit Chef on Instagram. She's been all natural forever, and she looks phenomenal. Her genetics are just stacked, and like vegan works for her.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say 9 times out of 10, come on.
But natural is a category.
Sorry?
Natural is a category, right?
In different federations, yeah.
Right. And all of those people in those natural categories juice up.
Not necessarily. No. So my first show, my first 2 shows, I had not touched anything anabolic. Like I was taking over the counter supplements and things. So I could have done a natural show instead of my first 2 NPC competitions. But if you are going to be truly natural, you get it from food.
For sure. But
Yeah.
just taking steroids out of it, not even making it vegan, but to where you can just eat whatever you eat.
Not necessarily vegan. Like, eat your meat and things.
No, I know, but like, does natural even exist in those spaces because of steroid use? Because it's not illegal, is it?
So there are different federations that you can compete under that drug test.
Okay.
And of course, there's different ways to skirt around a drug test, depending on what test they use. I don't think anybody's using USADA to come find, picograms of stuff that you probably did 5 years ago.
Sure. No, I'm just talking about like just having because like the hard stance you take against vegan, how because of what they take, it's hypocritical to their philosophy, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy for you to draw a hard line, this or that. You're either natural or you're not because of A, B, C, and D. So why can't that be the same thing with steroids? Why can't there just be a cutoff, no steroids, period at all, and then there's everything else after that?
So I can. That's fine. That works great. But I'm saying if you are in your natural competitions, you cannot have been on or be on anabolic steroids, technically.
Sure.
Right, and I'm all for it. Good on you.
It's like there are illegal substances that you can take on a specific schedule for the NFL, NBA, whatever, and then during test time you can clear it out, and then so that way you pass the test, but you have been taking it.
Exactly. Well, so I think Dr. Megan, who we had on a couple weeks ago, she's just based on how she posts and everything, she's definitely natural. She's definitely a natural athlete. And more power to her. She's been obviously running and gunning for years and made a great lifestyle and business out of it, and has helped a lot of people. But what I am suggesting is that a lot of top tier natural people are full of dog doo-doo.
Yeah.
Like, listen, man, I love Michael Hearn. I have met Michael Hearn uh, 2 different times. Once was in Iraq when he was an American Gladiator, and once was backstage at my balloon animal water balloon show in Corpus Christi, Texas, when I looked like straight shit. But he's claimed to be a lifetime natural his whole life, and it's made him money. And he's moved a lot of product, and he's moved, and this is the life he's lived, and whatever, blah 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 blah. Cool, man, rad. But there's no fucking way you've stayed that big and that shredded for that.
Yeah.
No, sir. I love you. I think you're a real nice man. You are a really nice man. One of my favorite memories of my boy Chris Erdley is attached to Michael Hearn because they wrestled out in the middle of the desert. It was awesome. But like, it'll all come out eventually, just like how that Liver King dum got caught. And everyone was like, duh. He was claiming he was so big and shredded off the natural spirits or whatever the hell it was, the ancient philosophies.
So does steroid use basically fall in the same line of they are professional athletes playing children's games for ridiculous sums of money? Why not just let them all? So that way we have peak performance.
I would not give a flying
okay.
turd if professional athletes could be open about their extracurricular supplementation.
Yeah.
Baseball was better with freaking Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire dinking dingers.
The buzz surrounding that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
I remember. I can close my eyes and still see the cartoon advertisement they had for the home run derby that year. Like, it made them look like superheroes.
Yeah.
And I saw a meme recently where it was like, it showed Barry Bonds at the All-Star game or something. And so it says, this is the moment Barry Bonds knew that he had to take steroids. And Mark McGwire charges over and he just picks him right up and just like lifts him up. And he was like, God. And Barry Bonds like, God. And the next season, you just see his cranium just start growing.
Yep. Did Ken Griffey Jr. ever get popped, or did he ever admit to anything?
See, you know how media was back then. So like fact checking and all that was, you couldn't really do that.
Well, because I don't know if he necessarily was.
That's the thing. I think that he was one of the few exceptions that did not.
Yeah, because he was such a freak athlete.
Later on in his career, I don't know. But like the other argument that's brought up is the fact that steroids are the first thing medical professionals use during recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that's, I had pericarditis years back and they gave me ibuprofen and a steroid. I don't know what that means, but whatever it was, it did the fucking trick.
Well, isn't that kind of how Anthony Hopkins got popped before the NFL season this year? He was recovering from something.
Yeah. Yep.
And
that's what happens. Most of the times it's either they are purposely using it to heal faster, or their doctor just gives them something that they don't recognize or don't do the background to see whether it's, something that's labeled as performance enhancing, and so it's illegal per whatever league that means. Some of them don't do their due diligence, and then they get popped that way. But
yeah,
when recovery is the name of the game, and these businesses have investments in these human beings, why would they care about steroids being used to get their players back on the field? Why would people who are knee deep and balls deep in fantasy and sports betting, why would they care if these athletes are all juiced up because they return from injury faster? Because their numbers are better.
Well, the big push to criminalize steroids was, in my opinion, ridiculous.
And who was at the forefront of that?
I think that was Billy Jeff Clinton. Crap. Thunderstorm's coming. I have whining dogs outside. Give me 1 second.
Gotcha.
If you could fact check me on the William Jefferson Clinton, I would be greatly appreciative.
We'll check. Let's give Warhorse another ring. Let him do his thizzle. Warhorse.
Hey, it's Warhorse. Do you want your workouts to look like this? Or do you want your workouts to slay? When Warhorse picks his pre-workout, he wants it to slay. If you want second place, go with somebody else. If you want to be a champion, go with Royalty Nutrition.
Hey, get out of here. All right.
So say that one more time. Billy
Jeff.
Billy Jeff was responsible for what now?
It was the big push to criminalize steroids, and I think if I am correct, steroids and a lot of performance enhancing drugs follow under the same drug classification as heroin.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know.
Because it used to be you could go see your sports doctor and be like, I'm missing a step in my game. The doctor would be like, take this forever, you know?
Yeah.
And, then it got to a point where a lot of anabolics are no longer able to be prescribed, kind of thing. So that's why there's not a lot of medical science to even like study them.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, because of their drug classification. And then another one was so GHB is a lot of real creepy motherfuckers use it as a date rape drug.
Yikes.
But bodybuilders and powerlifters and people that did a lot of body intensive extreme sports would take it to get them to relax and go to sleep so their bodies could recover in a deep sleep.
Yeah.
So that was another thing that was like, because I watch a podcast with a couple old bodybuilders all the time. They're like, remember the GHP days? Man, that was the best sleep I ever got. Fucking government, fucking dum-dums putting in people's drinks and bars.
So
you used to be able to go to GNC and buy GHP, man. Okay.
So it says the Anabolic Steroid Act of 1990.
Okay, so that's George H.W. Bush.
Yeah. So that's when it started. Further criminalization of steroid prescription for athletes to aid in bodybuilding. Blah, blah, blah. So the first one was in 1990. And then the Designer Anabolic Steroid Control Act of 2014. So that was during Obama.
Okay. Thanks a lot,
and
Barack.
So, yeah, that's where I'm assuming the classifications. But yeah, this is that possessing or selling anabolic steroids without a valid prescription will result in both state and federal consequences. At the federal level, it's punishable up to a year and $1,000 fine for the first time offense. So
okay,
that doesn't sound as bad as heroin.
Well,
but neither is marijuana, and it's still Schedule 1.
Yeah, but they'll get you.
Like, if they really want to, they'll figure out a way.
Well, because it also depends on how much you have and how many people have rolled over on you.
Yeah.
And what proof they have of your dealings, because it won't just be one count.
Yep.
It'll because Dave Palumbo, he got popped for selling HGH, human growth hormone, but because the product he was getting from whoever he was getting it from was fake, that's why his sentence was lesser.
Got you.
Yeah, so he was selling something as HGH, even though it wasn't.
Yeah.
So he got in trouble for like basically fraud instead of drugs, kind of thing. But what did he give a shit, dude? He was like, oh my god, Dave Palumbo at his peak big was over 300 pounds and just shredded. A scary large man. Never went pro because his proportions were off, but he was shredded.
I would have to assume the day-to-day carrying around all that extra muscle has to be fucking annoying. Like, I'm just talking in terms of utility. Like, I'm approaching 40, 6'2", under 200 pounds. I'm still pushing 3,000 calories. I'm burning 3,000 plus calories when I do work. So like, I'm moving, I'm expending calories. Like, the idea that I would add 10, 15, 20 pounds of just pure muscle on top of this, fuck that noise, dude. I don't want, like, even just to make lifting stuff easier, just the cardio expense on my heart, the blood that it needs to pump to that, to provide those muscles with fuel, like, nah, man, I don't need that on an extra, just hanging out every day.
I know when I was 3 bills plus, that was a chore. Being alive was a chore.
I think 250 was the highest I ever got. And even on my frame, like, I was obviously overweight, but like, yeah, dude. Just being out of shape, like, that was a burden. Can't imagine.
My body hurts as it is just because of my joint injuries and things.
Yeah.
Man, being that fat was bad.
Yeah.
Real bad. Never again. That's not true. I told Brittany one of these days I'm going to straight up give up and weigh over 500 pounds.
Oh.
I mean it. And I mean it. One day I'm just going to be like, fuck it. It's over. I'm going to
what does that mean?
Half gallon of ice cream and blend cheeseburgers into it and ride around in my freaking scoot.
And what does that mean for your nuptials? Does she have a clause? Can she get out? For better or for worse, huh?
Listen, for better or for worse, till death do us part, which will be soon after that.
Yeah, you're not living long carrying all that around.
No. I've told her, I was like, no, one of these days I'm just gonna give up.
Don't give up.
I've told her that since like we were like first dating. Like, one of the back when I was like bodybuilding for real 24/7 365, it's like, one of these days this is gonna be over and I'm gonna weigh 500 pounds. No, you're not. Like, yes, I am. We all have goals, and we gotta achieve.
That's on your bucket list.
Oh yeah,
to have a show on Bravo.
See how bad it gets before the heart pops, baby. Let's go.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thanks for letting me run off and get the dogs in. I didn't realize how nuts I was getting. Ginger was out playing in the rain. She's sitting here at my feet stinking. But
Yikes.
Flash was having a rough time.
Well, I mean, we have already eclipsed an hour on this joint, so we
did it, buddy.
Already done the damn thing.
We've done it. We did it. We did a whole movie review. We talked about nonsense.
I don't think we spoiled it either.
No. Oh, pardon me. They all died in the end.
Shocker.
Is what I said real? Or did I just make that up for clicks and views?
Are you a good actor? Have you seen that? Is it Martin? Not Martin Short? Steve Martin. Steve Martin does this. He's in this commercial.
The Pepsi commercial.
Yeah. Is it that good? Or am I just acting? Do you want to sign us off here? Do you hydrate?
Thank you for listening to the Sober Swirl podcast, everybody. Once again, my name is Jake Howard.
I go by DJ Swirl.
Chocolate and vanilla swirl.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everyone.
Warhorse.
Hey, it's Warhorse. Do you want your workouts to look like this? Or do you want your workouts to slay? When Warhorse picks his pre-workout, he wants it to slay. If you want second place, go with somebody else. If you want to be a champion, go with Royalty Nutrition.